Hello, I'm John Moore, Head of Grounds and Gardens at Churchill College in Cambridge, and we're here today to revisit the perimeter path. We had a short video of this in December last year where we looked at it where it's just been constructed, and we also looked at a lot of the trees which were ready to go and be planted. Since then we're now into May, the trees are planted, many are in flower like the Malus, and we're just going to have a walk around and see some of the developments. We're standing here at the moment next to this fantastic tree, which is a Plus Cytissus adamanii. It's an unusual tree as it's a Graph chimera, and it was a Graph chimera between a laburnum tree and a purple broom. Somebody actually wanted to try and get a standard broom on top of the laburnum. And what happens with this is that you'll get various flowers. So if you look into the tree, you'll see there's the normal sort of pinky coloured flowers here, which is the pinks coming through, the purples coming through from the broom plant. Further up you'll see pure yellow flowers, which is the laburnum, and equally the final part of this unusual tree is on this part here. There's parts of the broom plant itself actually physically coming out, so you can see it has different leaves, and again this will flower as well. So it's a really unusual tree. It's about 3 in 1 just for the price of one, but it's not something you'll see very often, but worth a look if you're around this area. So if we start on our walk around the perimeter path, when we spoke about it in the last December, we said that we wanted to make sure that we tree-lined the path, so you felt like you were walking through a tree-lined avenue. And as you can see, we've now planted various amelanchias along here. Each one is different, so we're getting different flowers at different times, slightly different formats, and different growth habits. We chose the amelanchia here because it's a small tree and we didn't want it to be too large near to the chapel. Also they have white flowers which complemented the daffodils which were in the copse down here, which were flowering about the same time. So if we carry on our walk around, you can see again into the copse area here where you can see lots of nice trees. You can also now see we've got various magnolias flowering in here. That one is Magnolia Yellow River, and the other yellow magnolia over there is Huperhensis Yellow Bird. And as we go further around the corner, we'll come across one called Magnolia Susan, which has a pink flower. So again, in this whole area, we've managed to get interest through from the snowdrops, the daffodils. We've got bluebells coming up. Now we've got cow parsley, we've got comfrey, and all sorts of different wildflowers. And there's the Magnolia Susan just up here with the pink flowers. So this one here is Magnolia Susan, which has the lovely pink flowers which are slightly twisting the petals on here, but it's a really nice magnolia. So we're walking along the perimeter path. We're now along the observatory boundary to Churchill College, and we reach the area where we started the planting of all our crab apples or malus, and here we have our first one on this, which is quite an unusual one. This is one called Trilobata, and it's guardsman. It's a very unusual leaf if you look at it, because it's basically 3, whereas most crab apples, when you look at them, do not have a leaf like this. So most people would look at this and probably think it's a field maple, but it is actually a crab apple. So this is quite an unusual one. It's a fastidiate tree, so it will grow quite upright, but it's our sort of starting point. So as we walk along, you'll see that we've been planting many malus along this walk. So we've now affectionately named it our crabapple or malus walk, because of the fact that we have 56 crab apple trees planted along here, covering 10 different varieties of them. So once we've gone through that one, we come up to our native Malus sylvestris. So this is our native crab apple. This seems to have more sense this year than the other ones. It took a lot longer for it to come into leaf than the other trees. It seemed to know that we're going to have a cold spring, but it is now just coming in. But you can see some of them are still slightly behind in the leaves. This one hasn't flowered this year. It's the only crab that hasn't, so I'm hoping that it may still do that because it's just a bit later. As we go further along down here, you start to really see the flowers of these crabs. I mean, they've been absolutely full of flower this year. And this one here is one called Taringo, and it is Brower's Beauty. Has very delicate white flowers, and it has been completely full. And again, we should then get fantastic berries from it this year. We had the berries last year, and I'm hoping again this autumn we'll get a good crop, which will be fantastic for the wildlife and the birds. So as we keep walking down, you can just see as you walk down this path the way that they give you an avenue of trees as you walk down. It's an avenue that will just improve year on year, and as I say, you've got the fantastic flower. If you pan over the top of our compost area, you can just see in the distance some more crab apples in the corner over there, which we'll come to in a minute. As we slowly drop down this bank, we come down to the Malus Transatoria. This is a slightly different one to the one at the top, this we just talked about, as it has a slightly weeping habit. As you can see, the branches are slightly coming down, but again, it's a lovely flower. It's absolutely been full of it. It is slowly going over now, but we again should get plenty of fruit from it, which will be really good again for the wildlife and the birds. And as we walk down this way, we're also now coming towards an area where we started our wildflower meadows, which we started to plant this year. But I will like to do is walk over just to these crab apples over here, because they're so worth just that walk over. This one is Malus Transatoria, which in this autumn will have fantastic yellow berries, but these have got just fantastic flowers. Again, as you can see from just looking at them, they're just absolutely full. This one again is just coming into its peak, so again we should get plenty of flower on it, plenty of berries again on it again. And as we walk down this way, from this point onwards down to Cowan Court where we're going, this is where we started planting wildflowers. So we've done a bit of an experiment. We've done this end using wildflower plugs, and we've put in things like oxeye daisies, we've put in cowslips, we've had ragged robin, campions, burnet, scabious and various other wildflowers. We planted 8,000 plugs on this process, and we were very lucky because we opened it up for the students to come and help plant it, and they more than helped us, they actually planted the lot near enough. So they came out over 4 days, and we planted them in swathes. So as we walk down here, we'll probably be able to see some of the markings where we marked it out, and we were marking it out in either 2-metre widths as sort of curves around, or we did it in metres, but they range between 10 metres and 30 metres. So you can see on here, this is in the area where we planted the wildflowers, and you can see nicely coming up here is the oxeye daisy, which is starting to put on quite a bit of growth. There were only tiny plugs when they went in, but they've actually put on about 1 inch of growth. Just to the side here is a buttercup that we planted. This is the Field Buttercup, so again that is taken. So we're actually starting to see, as you walk through here, all the different plants that we planted. We've got yellow rattle in here, which will hopefully slow down the grass growth as well, as that parasitises the roots. But everything seems to be slowly taking off in the grass. Now we've had a bit of rain to get it going, and we're hoping now next year we'll get a few flowers this year, but potentially it'll be next year that we'll get the majority. We're back into again the Malus as we see here. So this one is Huperhensis, which has a much larger flower, again white, but a really nice one, has fantastic red berries or fruit in the autumn. So this is something we'll look forward to again. And on this side, as I said in the last video, we've started infilling some of the gaps. So we've got a nice lime tree here, which is joining the other ones, and that'll just fill up this gap here between that and the plain. We're now coming through to the next grouping of crab apples, and this one is called Donald Wyman, which again has a nice red berry. We've tried to work it out as we come down here that you go through red berries through to, so I'll start off with the yellow berries, through to the red berries. Then we've got some red flowering trees, and we've just basically tried to get a bit of symmetry as we go through. But again, a lovely, lovely tree. As we carry on, we get down towards this next tree, which one called Rudolph. I don't know if they called it that because it's red and it goes with Rudolph's nose, but again, another lovely, lovely, lovely tree. And hopefully, as I say, we'll have this fantastic walk through here. So we're going to have a time when you'll come down here, you'll see things like the primroses that we planted and the cowslips. You'll see then the flowering of the cherry, of all these malus trees. Once these are going over, we'll then have the wildflowers coming in. So you'll always have something to go through. Again, in this autumn, we're going to be planting lots and lots of native bulbs. So we're going to be planting things like the fritillaria in the wet areas, the native daffodil, some native bluebells, some snowdrops, various other things. And we'll plant down this area a minimum of at least 10,000 bulbs. So we want to make sure we get a decent show. Again, we've been filling in for some more trees between this area here, but you can really see the width of the sort of area for wildflowers that we'll have as you look around. As you get to here, we've got Everest, which is another of our crab apples. This was one of the earlier ones to flower again, so they are flowering at slightly different times. And if you look on the floor, you can just still see the markings for where we put the marks to plant the wildflowers in. So we mark them out in stripes, and then we could implant in each metre square. So hopefully, when we walk down here at the moment, you look that way and you see fantastic flowers. You see on the crab apples, on the malus, and then again we'll have a lovely path with flanked either side with wildflowers. And as I say, in the spring this year we'll be having all the bulbs. So it will keep on going. We added more trees again here to infill again and keep it feeling really enclosed as you're walking through. And we then come up to the last of the 56 malus that we planted, and this one's one called Director's Moorland, which again has a nice red flower, red leaves. It's been flowering itself for absolute weeks, this one. It's a really nice one. We have a fastidiate tulip tree, the Liriodendron, just behind there, and we've sort of stopped at the moment in this point with the malus. But we actually are intending to continue further planting of malus because we feel that we can actually put some more down this way towards Cowan Court, and we feel that we can probably get in this area and a bit further back up there another 15 trees in, so we'll have another 3 varieties to add to our collection, so we'll get more diversity as you're going along. This area again has all been planted with plugs for the wildflowers, and these are the trees that have all gone in that we saw last year again up at the top. So these are the Taxodium distichum, which is the swamp cypress. They like to be in wet ground. In the winter, this area really does get wet. It's very boggy, it floods. And again, this is where we'll plant the fritillarias because they like to be in almost water meadows. So they'll really enjoy it. As we go along, we come through to the grouping of alders. And this is the cut leaf alder, which has a really nice sort of fern-like leaf, and again they really like the wet ground. But we do feel that we could just get in a few more crabs at the top, crab apples at the top here, just to finish off down to the sort of Cowan Court. But as I say, so this whole area has been plug planted to give us the wildflowers, and hopefully, as I say, these will look great. As part of an experiment, we wanted to see how with the wildflowers, we've done, as I say, 8,000 plug plants on this side, but on the other side of this path, we decided what we would do is we would sow direct wildflower seed. So we've done 80-20, so it's 80% grass, 20% wildflowers, so it's the native grasses and then the wildflowers, and we have sown this whole area with it to see how it comes up and how it compares with the plug planting. So we'll get 2 different types of areas, which will be much more mixed, but this will probably take at least 2 years before we get the flowers. But it will be something that's interesting to see and contrast and compare as we continue to add more areas of wildflowers. As I say, we've done 1.3 acres this year. We will set ourselves a target. We want to try and do 5 acres in total on this site, but again, we'll try to get to that, but if we feel that there's more areas we can do beyond 5 acres, we'll keep going. Likewise, with our tree planting, last year we put in 107, so we're now 70 short of our 1,000 tree target. But again, if there's areas we can plant more trees, we don't intend to just stop at that area. We'll just keep on going until we feel that there aren't the spaces for the trees, because we just want to get as many trees on site as possible and have as much wildflower on site as well. So I'd like to thank you for watching this short video of our perimeter path walk again, to see how it's changed. I hope in the future we'll be able to do further tours of this path, showing it as it develops and matures, and that you'll follow us on our journey. We just wanted to finish off here next to this fabulous Cornus Eddy's White Wonder. And you're looking at this and you're thinking what fantastic flowers on it, but actually these white bits here are actually bracts, which are modified leaves. So this is something, again, it's another slight curiosity, but it does work well for attracting the bees with these bracts. So thank you again, and hopefully we'll be able to show you an autumn or a late summer tour of the perimeter path when we'll have the crab apples in berry and potentially some wildflowers in flower. Thank you.